Okay, straight off the bat I want to make out that this is not my tutorial, in a sense that I've actually found a tutorial and used it to create this mandala. The thing is, what I found when I used the other tutorials, that some of the elements weren't correct for the version of Illustrator I'm using, so what I'm planning on doing is actually updating the tutorial in a sense and showing you how I managed to overcome the issues that I found when I was developing the mandala template, and show you how it's done correctly using this version of Illustrator. Okay, so the credits for the original one will be at the end of the video and on the web page where this video is stored, so don't think I'm going to take any credit for it. I'm just showing you how I've achieved it via the necessary updates. Okay, so what we're going to do by the end of this is to show you how to make something similar to this. This is a mandala. Okay, now if you look closely you'll see it's all sectioned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 16 in fact, and it looks very intricate and detailed, and you're thinking it may take a long time to actually achieve something like this, even if you do the necessary copy, repeat and rotate. Now there is a tutorial, as I said, I found that showed me how to do this quickly and easily, and this is what I wanted to do, is show you how to actually do this most effective way. Okay. The things we need to do is to actually, well, I'm going to close this. There's a few things you may want to do to make sure that it's going to work properly. I have to wait until I've made a new document. So I'm going to create a new document, that's Command N. Okay, and I'm going to make sure it's, you'll see here, 1000 by 1000 pixels. Okay, that's just because I want a large size to work with. You can do it any size you want to. And because mandalas are round, or whatever shape they are, but they're symmetrical. Okay, so this is basically what you want to do, is to make it different pixel variations that are the same. Okay, I'm just going to call it mandala 2 because I've already made one I showed you. Create the document. Okay, and then this is your starting point. Now at the bottom, this is what you need to do, is you call this layer structure. This is just a guide for basically showing you how to build the mandala. First thing first, we've got to build this structure. The way we do this is we use a polygon tool, which is under here, fourth one down. Now what you can do now is just simply click on your canvas, and you'll notice the mandala had 16 sides. Most mandalas have this 16 sides, but you can do them with any amount of sizes you want. So for this purpose I'm going to knock it up to 16. Okay, and I'm going to just change the radius. Remember, radius is only half the distance across a circle, it's not a full, which is called the circumference. So this is 1000, so I need this to be 500 pixels, and I press OK, and what you'll have is your basic structure for your mandala sitting there. You can, if you want to, just get rid of the background color, doesn't matter, but you keep the stroke, okay, because we'll need that. Next thing we need to do is to create the sections we're going to use to show this mandala built up effectively and quickly. The way we do that is we get the line tool. Okay. Also, before we start doing this, notice we need to, for later on, so I'm going to do it now while I remember, we need to click so it's snap to pixel and snap to pointer switched on. Okay, then we'll just go to there. We've got smart guides on as well, so I'm going to click here where the anchor point is, drag down to the opposite side, and I have a black line. Okay, now what I want to do is to obviously rotate that around, and there's a quick way to do this. You basically press Command R, which is the rotate tool. Not Command R, that's the rulers. Sorry, the R tool. You can just click the actual thing there, which is the panel, and you'll notice it's set for 0 at the moment. So what we need to do is, this is 360 degrees. Basically we need to do it in increments. Basically that's 45 degrees, so half of that is 22.5, like so. You can preview it, so make sure I got it right. And you don't need to actually move that one, you need to do a copy. So luckily there's a little button here that says copy, so we do that, so you've got 2. the one that you've just made has been selected, so what you can do now cleverly is to duplicate this, and it will duplicate the actual action as well as the actual item. So what it's going to do is it's going to actually place them in 22.5 degrees slots around your structure. Okay, so that's that part set up. Okay, now what we have to do, just close that, we can actually lock that now. We're going to stick a new layer up. Okay, and we're just going to basically use the pen tool. I'm going to choose a nice green colour because it will help me see things better. We need to actually create a section as part of the mandala. Now you'll notice, because we've got these smart guides on, it will actually give you location for the actual halfway point, which is what we want to do. So click there, we'll click down to the centre, which will also say intersection, and then we'll click up to this corner and then close it. Now this is the starting point of one of your parts of your mandala. What you need to do here is to actually duplicate it across and also then spread it around the actual other areas. Now there's two different types of mandala we can make. There's the actual one that has staged alternate repeats, so this one will be missed out, this one will be the same as this one, so forth. Or you can do it so that each one is a repeat of itself. Now I'm going to show you the staged one first, and then there'll be a second tutorial just simply to do an additional element to show you how to do the individual sections all as one. Okay, now this is what we've got here. We've got the section. Now what we need to do is just literally create that as a symbol. It's selected. Okay, now over here you'll see there's a thing that looks like a spade, and it's the symbols palette. Okay, what we need to do here is to make this into the symbol. The way we do that literally is it says at the top here, new symbol. Okay, all we're going to do there is to say section 1. Let's call it section 1. Now this is where it changes from the original tutorial that I used, because I was doing this for hours and realized that I could not figure out why it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. Okay, but basically what we have to do here, the original actually it says here now, unless you're using Flash, movie clips and graphics are not any different, but just for the process of doing the tutorial correctly, we're going to choose selection of graphic. Okay, now older versions of Illustrator don't have this option, dynamic or static. Now to make this work properly the way the original tutorial needs to go, you need to choose, and it's automatically put for dynamic, but what we need is a static one. Okay, everything else can stay the same, and we just press OK, and you'll notice what happens is that appears in your symbols palette and it says section 1. Okay, now we'll move on to the next part. What we need to do now is to take this and then flip it and duplicate it there, so we can actually have that full section complete. The way we do this is to literally duplicate it and flip it. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that, but before I do that I'm just going to make another layer, press hide that, then I'm going to bring in the guides so we can find the exact halfway center point on these two axes. Now I can zoom in a minute to see I got it wrong on one axis. Okay, so that's snapped right into the center, that's the center point. Okay, so if I switch this back on again, you notice I missed that on the symbol, so what I'm going to do is just have to click it into the right place. That's actually exactly the right place now. Okay, so I'm going to unselect that. Okay, so now what I've got to do is select the symbol, go to the symbols palette, make sure it's selected, press Command C, Command F. Now it hasn't appeared there double, but it's appeared there double. Okay, and now what we can do is to instigate the reflection tool, which is 0. You'll notice a little crosshair appears there, and this is where you need to have the snapping to this point. Okay, and literally all you need to do now is click anywhere above that point on the line, and it duplicates it exactly from that axis point. Okay, so that's our section done. Okay, now all we need to do is group those. That's Command G. Okay, make it, oops, I didn't actually have them both selected, so make sure you select them both first and then group them. Okay, and you'll notice it's grouped there in the actual palette. Okay, the next stage, let's get it zoomed in. What we've got to do, as I said, do different repeats. So from here, what we've got to do is make that to appear there, and that's quite simple as well. What we're going to do is basically rotate it into that position. Okay, so what we're going to do is press the R button. You notice you should have your crosshair appearing. It's actually there on mine. Okay, yep, just checking. And then if you just press down the Alt and the Shift, you can drag that and it will automatically drag it to 45 degrees. Okay, which is what we want. Okay, so now if you remember, because we've actually done an action and a duplication, we can press Command D and it will then repeat it into all the spots that we need. Okay, and that's the first part of your mandala created. Okay, I'm going to name that section 1, like the actual symbol. Okay, and just for the intents and purposes of this, I'm going to lock it. I'm just also going to call that guides, like so. Alright, so what we've got to do now is to duplicate and fit into the blank spaces basically. So what we need to do is select our main slice, so we're just going to unlock it quickly. Press the Command option, make a new layer. I can now lock that. Press F. Now that's on top of the other layer, so I'm just going to quickly call that section 2. Okay. Like so. And now we've got to rotate this. And the way we rotate this is simply by using the rotation tool. Okay, so you just basically double click on that. We don't want it that much, so what we've got to do is actually make it minus 22, remember, 0.5. If you do the preview, you'll see it actually then goes into that angle that we require. So then once we've done that, we can then move that over. I would recommend zooming into this center point and make sure everything is lined up to sometimes you have to see, this is where the snapping gets into being a problem, so we'll switch the snapping off for a bit, like so. And what we should be able to do, there you go, we should be able to do this exact now, so it's in the intersection. You know it's correct because you shouldn't be able to see anyway, you might be able to see a little bit of black on either side. Yeah, like so. Yeah, that's because I didn't create it properly. What I could do now though, let's just show you how clever this is. Okay, you see this is not matched up properly. So what I can do is if I just unlock that again, because all these are interconnected, if I just literally select the main symbol, remember all these are linked, what I can do is I can cleverly click that, put it into the right place, and then do the same for the, yep, and what will happen when I deselect that is everything else snaps to the same place. Okay, and so you got the connected elements. Okay, now before I do that though, because it's going to change all the others, is you have to do this little thing called break link to symbol. You have to make sure I had it in a group for some mistake, because I didn't ungroup them, I just deleted one of them. Okay, so you've got to make sure you actually select the selection and it'll have break link to symbol. So once you've done that, it doesn't have anything to do with this now, so if I change anything on this it won't happen to that one, but it'll happen to the rest of them. Okay, now just to make this a little bit more understandable, I'm going to just change the colour. As I said, you'll notice now it hasn't changed. I've selected it, and what I'm going to do is make that into a second symbol. So we do the new symbol, call it symbol 2, making sure it's static again, and making sure it's a graphic. Okay, there. What I do, like before, is to reflect and duplicate at the same time. Now that's quite easy. It's a bit different to what it was when we did the first one, but it's roughly the same idea. Basically, we just select our object, like so, press O, make sure we go all the way down here and make sure it's actually in that center point, like so. Zoom out, and holding down your Alt key, you literally just press, and you'll notice it can spin and duplicate. Now you notice it didn't do it exactly as we wanted it to, because as I said, it's not that easy. So what we have to do here is just rotate this one slightly so it's actually matching up, and we just do that by pressing R. Make sure that the rotation point is right down on that point, which it is. Zoom in here. What we can do now is just literally rotate that round so it then joins, and we've got our two sections sorted out. Now that's the complicated part. Basically, if it doesn't go right, you have to just tweak things like I just did there, and I'm going to group those. And you'll notice on our thing we've got section 2, section 1. Okay, as I said before, we've got to now duplicate those round like we did before. You notice this has already got all the sections, you can see, because there we go. Okay, this one we have to do that. So what we have to do, if you remember, now it's grouped and we've selected it, you press R again, zoom down here, make sure that the rotation tool is exactly on that spot, zoom out, and then with your Alt key down, you just literally drag and make sure it then goes to that point and snaps. Okay, now we just check the corners, make sure that they're actually all aligned properly. Just slightly out. That didn't actually rotate, that moved. Anyway, it's only slightly out. If I zoom in there, it's still correct. There's not that much of a problem in that sense. So what we've got to do now is just basically press Command D, and it should then fill those spots again. And believe it or not, that's your finished mandala template. Okay, I can close that. Now what I need to do is unlock this. I'm going to lock the guide, so we may need the guides, but we can switch them off for now. But one thing you're going to know, and what you need to keep an eye on, is to know which sections you're going to be using. Okay, so it's quite good to literally just draw. Let's put it on. Yeah, okay. Unlock it. I'm going to draw a circle there, that colour. I'm going to draw a circle here, that colour, and make sure it's the same colour as the original one, which is that. Okay, what this is doing is saying if you ever need to edit anything, that's the one, because you can get lost basically, and that's the one as well. Okay, I can lock those now. And what we do is we can actually now save this as a template, so you can use it over and over again. Okay, I'm just going to stick that on my desktop for now. You notice it gives you a different extension for a template. And you're ready and you're set to go. And now I'm going to show you how this works, because you'll be amazed. Simply, if you want to create something in this section, or the light green sections, double click on that, so you select the group, double click on it again so you select the actual section, zoom in. I'm not going to do anything majorly interesting, I'm just going to show you how it repeats. So I'm going to draw, I'm going to on snap now, chose the wrong one, snap to grid, snap to pixel, and snap to point. Okay, so that should snap on that line now. Okay, so I'm just going to basically make a line there, for instance. Deselect it. If I select the line and give it a black stroke, like so, if I use the width tool, let's say for instance I just close it at the one side, but now I just do some really strange thing like this. Okay, let's do it quickly. So. Okay, say for instance that's what you want for your mandala. You basically build it up like so, and as soon as I double click outside this now, it repeats. Okay, so all you have to remember, if you want to do anything inside this section and all the other light green sections, you just literally edit something in here, and I'll just show you again quickly. You have to do a circle, for instance. Okay, and let's do another dark circle there. As soon as I click outside, it repeats. Okay, and let's just show you that it does work on the other one as well. Let's just say, for instance, I do a series of circles in there. I just click outside, bam. Okay, and that's how easy it is. So all you need to do is concentrate on doing that and that. Okay, now there's some things I mentioned there that aren't in the original tutorial, which I had to figure out because obviously the updates in the program, plus some things that the tutorial possibly missed because he's used to doing it and he didn't mention it properly. Basically, the best plan is to make sure everything is aligned exactly, and that's why I've created this grid. Okay, if it doesn't, then you're going to start having mistakes appearing in your mandala. But with a little bit of practice, and as I said, this is my first attempt, and it took me maybe 2.5, 3 hours maximum to do that entire pattern. Okay, so it's quite an easy and effective way to actually learn how to do mandalas. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. There is going to be a little additional one to show you how to do a multiple repeat on every section instead of alternate sections, so you can follow that one as well if you want to, but that's basically how to create the template for your mandala.